Okay, we're working on chapter 1.4, calculating income, but looking at overtime. So often when you get paid by the hour, you will get paid overtime if you work certain hours. So sometimes it's statutory holidays, sometimes it's if you work more than 8 hours in a day, or if you work more than 40 hours in a week. There are regulations for that that are set out by the government. We always think of more than 40 hours a week as being overtime, but really by the government, I think it's higher than that. But in order for employers to remain competitive, to keep their employees happy, they want to kind of be the same so that an employee isn't just leaving the job to go somewhere where they will get paid more. You know what I mean? It has to be a little bit competitive. So the most common thing is to get paid double time. So that means you multiply your hourly wage by 2. That's double time. If you get paid time and a half, that means you're multiplying your hourly wage by 1.5. It means you're getting paid for that time and then for getting paid for half of that time again, which is the same as multiplying by 1.5. So try these in this particular chapter are just 2 examples of that. So you can get out your calculator and just, actually the first one, you don't need a calculator, multiplying by 2. So 8 times 2 is 16. And then 2 times a quarter is 50 cents. So that would be $16.50. And then 1.5, maybe you want to use your calculator, or you can think about keeping. So 1.5, one of these is 11.10, and then half again. So half of that would be $5.55. So adding to 11.10 would be $16.65. So let's just check, make sure I did that correctly. So 1.5 times 11.1 is 1665. Okay. So here's your first example. Manny works on a farm near Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. He clocks in and out of work using a time card. He earns, so in the old days, it was actually a card that you put into a machine that would click on the time. Now it's probably some kind of digital version of that. He earns $9.20 per hour and is also paid time and a half for any hours worked over 40 in 1 week. His time card for 1 week is shown. What is Manny's gross income for the week? So taking a look here, and again, remember this is a few years ago. $9.20 is below minimum, so likely not going to happen. So if you take a look here, he clocked in at 6:07, out at 1 p.m., in at 1:25, out at 4:03, and it usually rounds to the nearest half hour for getting paid. They're not going to pay you to the nearest minute. So, but often employers to the nearest half hour. And if it's slightly below, it depends on the employer, they might not round it up. So just be aware of that. So in any case, 9.5 hours, 10 hours, 5 hours, etc. So it adds up the total number of hours, 52. So he gets paid regular pay for the first 40 hours. So I always call this regular equals 40 hours times that rate, which was $9.20. And so we'll get that value. I'm just going to move this, this over here. So 40 times $9.20 is $368. And then the overtime part. So now you have to figure out what his overtime wage would be. So he gets time and a half. So you multiply $9.20 times 1.5. Now, you don't have to do this in separate steps. In some of the further questions, we'll do it all in one step, but for learning it, we're doing it so you get an understanding. So really what he's now getting paid for those overtime hours is $13.80 per hour. And so how many hours is that? Well, this is the total. We want to subtract 40, and so we worked 12 overtime hours. So that's 12 overtime hours at $13.80. And so I already have the 1380 in my calculator times 12 and 165.6. Now this is money, so I am going to put a 0 on the end because that's cents. Okay, so gross income for the week, we want to add 368 plus 165.60. And then, so I don't have the dollar signs here, but for sure at the end, I need to have them. So I have that one. I'm just going to press add 368, any calculator, same thing. So $533 and again 60, so 60. That's his gross pay for the week. Okay. Next, Astrid works in the oil and gas industry near Fort McMurray, Alberta. She earns $28.30 per hour and makes double time for hours worked beyond 40 in a week. Calculate her gross income for 45.25 hours. So again, you want your regular pay is 40 hours at $28.30. So here, 40 hours times $28.30. Again, I don't need the 0. And then for overtime hours, the wage, so she gets double time. So $28.30 times 2. So $28.30 times 2 is $56.60 total for overtime hours. So now we have to subtract our 40 hours. So how many overtime hours? 5.25. Okay, so 5.25 times $56.60. 56.60 is still in my calculator, times 5.25 is $297.15. And we add them together. Oh, sorry, adding the wrong things there. The regular pay is $1,132, and then the overtime pay, and get our calculator. I have the overtime pay already in there. Add 1,132 and 1,429.15. Okay, for the week. And question number 1 in the practice, we're just going to go through that so I can help you out a little bit. It says Darcy earns $22.40 per hour as a lathe operator plus time and a half for hours worked over 40. Complete the time card. So thinking about the time card here, so 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. You can think about it, 11:30 is 11.5 hours after midnight. This is 7. So 11.5 minus 7 is 4.5, right? So this is 4.5 hours, and this is 3.5 hours. Add them together, that's 8 hours. Here, this is just before 7, 1 minute before 7. This is 2 minutes before 11:30. Okay, so that's basically a minute short of 4.5 hours. But here, this is 12:01. Would, for 3.5 hours, would end at 3:31. This is 1 minute more. So overall, it ends up being exactly to the minute 8 hours. So you want to think about that in terms of minutes, okay? This is 5 minutes before 7, and then she leaves 4 minutes before 11:30. So a little 1 minute more than she needed to work. And then here, exactly 3.5. Again, round to 8. Okay, they're not going to pay you for that minute extra that she worked. 3 minutes early, 2 minutes more, so that's 5 minutes more she worked. Then here worked, so this normally ends at 3:30, so that would be 3.5 hours, but worked till 5, so that would be 5 hours. 3 minutes short, but this, she worked 5 minutes more here. So this would actually work out to be 9.5 hours. Okay, and then here 2 minutes more than normal. And then here, this normally ends at 3:30, now going to 6:15. So 3:30 is 3.5, and to 5 we know it was basically 9.5 in total, right? So worked an extra 2 minutes, 1 minute less, so really we can go to the nearest 15. So let's assume that they'll pay for a quarter of an hour. So that would be another, so that would be 10.5 plus a quarter is 10.75. Okay. And then here, straight starting at noon, at 4:15 would be 4.25. Okay. So if you don't like, if you get confused with the minutes and stuff like that, then what you could do is convert all to minutes. So 6 times, for example, or let's do it here. 6 times 60 is 360 plus 58 would be 418 minutes. This would be 11 times 60, so 660 plus 30 is 690, and then you could subtract them, get the minutes, but then you'd have to convert back to hours. All of these are going to be very close to a whole hour or half hour or even a quarter. And then adding nothing on Sunday, so add these up. So then we're going to get here 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9.5 plus 10.75 plus 4.25 is 48.5. In terms of regular, 40 hours is the regular amount, so overtime would be 8.5. Okay. And then gross income for the week. So we go regular, 40 hours times her regular pay, which is $22.40 per hour. Overtime is 8.5 times, so $22.40 is her regular pay, and she gets time and a half. So really, we're multiplying that by 1.5. You can put it in brackets, or you can just straight multiply through. So let me do these. So 40 times 22.4 is 896. Then 8.5 times 22.4 times 1.5. Because it's all multiplication, you don't have to use the brackets. It's money. So go to 2 decimal places and then add them together. So I can just press add. It'll take that previous answer. And then in my calculator, I can go up and copy that out, or you can just enter it. So total is $1,181.60. Okay, that's the end of 1.4.